It does. Because subconsciously, like I know it's like stemming from childhood, our brains psychologically, I don't know if I'm using the words right, but we can block out trauma to protect ourselves from more emotional damage like into the future. However, a lot of those, like if they're unresolved, if you're blocking them out, you're going to carry it into adulthood and then it's going to manifest itself like in the wrong ways. And my personal example of this is like as a child, if I ever like cried or tried to express my emotions, I got shut down. So what did I do as an adult? Now if I'm faced with like a situation that makes me uncomfortable, I shut down and I don't know how to properly like relay or communicate my feelings. And that's something that I'm still working on. A lot of other people, like if they grow up and see their parents like domestic abuse or if they call each other names, curse, scream, you're gonna look for a partner that has the same traits as your parents did. That's something that I also did, where that's because that's something that you perceive as love when it's not.
What's up, guys? It's Honest Conversations with Brandon Avery, and I'm here today with Lisette.
Yes, hello.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you for having this chat with me. This was a very deep question, and a lot of people don't want to be open to type of questions. And I know that this is why it's really important that you're here, and I'm really thankful for that. Just to share your thoughts on childhood trauma. I guess you have a firsthand experience.
Yeah, I have a lot, couple more than I care to admit. It's hard for people to face them because definitely when it's like facing your trauma, it's not easy because like you're revisiting the same points in your life that like harmed you.
Yeah.
However, they did shape you to who you are today.
Yeah.
So
Would you now? I think we've all dealt with childhood trauma to an extent, right? And I think for me, I didn't start realizing it until I became like an adult. Like I'm like walking down the street one day and I'm like, whoa, oh my God, I think that was abuse. Wow. And we laugh about it because it'd be a surreal moment. Like you can literally be like playing Uno with your friends and everything's going good and you'll just have like a flashback of your childhood. And I think that like you were stating that children have this way of blacking out things they don't want to see anymore. That hurts me, but we all have done it to an extent, and it takes a certain point of our life for it to resurface back there. Can you mind sharing an experience for your childhood trauma that you realized as an adult, or did you already know you had childhood trauma as a child?
I think I already kind of knew that I had it as a child because I grew up seeing things that my other friends weren't experiencing. So I would go over to their house and like it would be like a big loving family. They'd sit down and eat, or if I slept over, and then I was like, is this what a normal family is supposed to look like? Like not like fighting and screaming because like I'm mixed race.
That's what you're used to, and it became your norm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like tradition, because my mom's Filipino, my dad's Dominican, and so she was the first one to marry outside of her race in the family, aside from one of my other aunties like marrying like a white man, but you know how Asians are with like their white men fetish. But so she did get a lot of shit for it, and so like I never fit in like on either side, and they were like, oh, like your dad's like dirty, he's lazy, he's this. When he's nothing, they thought he was just like another hood dude from the Bronx.
Wow.
Is anything like from that? But
the prejudgment, and did that affect you as a child as well? Like, how did that make you feel? How old were you?
Oh, I started realizing that it didn't look like the rest of my family when I think I was like 8. And then I noticed how they were all treating me different. They're like, oh, but you're not like really Filipino. Because you don't speak this, you don't look like this. And then like having constant judgment from like the rest of my family, like my aunts and my uncles and my cousins, and I didn't want to be around.
That's crazy.
And they all talk shit about my mother and me, and it's like,
why do you? Yeah, exactly. So as looking back as an adult, right? And we're gonna go back to that moment too. Have you ever questioned to go like why, like as far as finding a solution as why did they feel that way? Like was it like maybe like, hey, maybe they were jealous, maybe just like why did they disapprove of you? Like did you ever have that thought?
I kind of just always knew because just racism.
Yeah.
I think it's just racism at that point. Yeah. You know what's fucked up too? My grandfather's darker than my damn father.
It's crazy. A lot of people are racist towards themselves too. And then like when you come to the family dynamics there are a lot of families that don't want to cross over and they will take it out on the child. And I think that's so unfortunate because when we talk about trauma, right? And I know that in everybody's life, they're going to deal with some type of trauma. But I know as an adult, I know what childhood trauma is like. So as all adults, why are we constantly doing certain things on purpose to cause another child some trauma. You know, some things can be are unavoidable. But when we sit there and we think and like saying things like that to an 8-year-old, like you're about your mom, about you, about what you're really not fully, like that hurts. You know, did you display any like emotion during that time?
Um, I did. I remember being very little and like looking. I was in the back seat of my dad's car, and my dad and my grandpa, my mom's father, were in the front seat. And then I turned to my grandpa, and then I was like, "Why don't you like my dad?" And he just laughed at me, and I was very very little. So,
Wow.
but I don't know. I'm kind of glad I went through all that stuff because it prepared me for like how the real world is like not
Yeah.
accepting. I was also acting out like a lot
Yeah.
because I was also experiencing like some other shit that I probably shouldn't have seen.
Wow. Do you mind sharing?
Um,
Because you share a lot. So you share a lot on your platform.
I do.
Let me ask you this, because like that is very intriguing with me because I didn't know that about you until I saw you on TikTok. I'm like, hey, I know her. Like, oh snap, she's like, you know, she's talking. So
Yeah.
in a sense of you not want to share it in person too much right now, do you feel like you share it for that community to help and also to heal yourself? What do you get from that based off of what you're expressing? Because you express some really deep shit, right? And then you do it in a jokingly manner,
Yeah.
but it also is really impactful, and you also share your emotion. You share a lot and you become very vulnerable there. Are you doing this to help heal and help, or just to help heal?
That is actually a very interesting like take. I didn't think of it as like to also like help heal myself. I mostly just like did it because I didn't have anyone to go to growing up about like that stuff where it's like because I went undiagnosed with bipolar for like 20 years and like I had no idea what was going on. So like I did share a lot of that like on my TikTok just to like let people to like normalize it. Like that's like the whole point of this like honest conversation.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
no one likes to talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
But if we don't talk, y'all want to be like, oh, pro mental health. But when someone cries out for help and then it's like, oh, you're a freak.
Whoa,
I don't like that.
you missed the marker. You hit the marker, right? It's so, and this is the problem. This is why this show has to exist, because without this, I'm yelling at one of my friends like, you understand this is bullshit. The internet's not real, because again, we're pro mental health this. We should talk about it. Check on your friends. There's all these memes, but when your friends will show clear signs that something is wrong, there will be a response of, you'll be all right, everything will be okay, you ain't gonna do nothing to yourself. Like the wrong answers. And I think that you can just not say anything and just listen. Maybe give a hug, you know, or something of that nature. But then it kind of like degrades mental health and people who really need it. So like, again, when I watch your videos, I'm like, wow, that's very vulnerable. It's very inspiring, because I talk about things off camera with a lot of people. A lot of people talk to me about them, and I just, you know, you need that listening ear. You need to be able to someone to be like, yo, I had the same experience, because we literally all have trauma. So the fact that not only does social media make us all crazy, because I don't know about you, but I watch people pretend to be so happy every day when there's not one person that can be that happy every day.
Yeah.
And adding on to mental illness and adding on to childhood trauma that's now formed into something when it comes to being an adult. You know how many people I've met that like, I call my family, they call me like, I'm like the unlicensed psych. Like, because I'm really interested in people. I've always been interested in the human's mind. I've always been in the mannerisms, everything about them. And I ask a lot of questions because I'm really intrigued by it, right? And I guess through my childhood to my young adulthood to my adulthood, I've adapted so many skills, you know what I'm saying? To be like, yo, I can help that person help me. So when I ask that question, is it helping you when you're releasing to help others? Because you're like preparing them for like, hey, it's okay, I got through it, you can too.
Yeah.
But I know you said you didn't have no one to talk to. So my brain is doing that thing it does to go, but is this helping her too? Like a visual diary with real life responses?
Probably, I think it could be like both, because for the most part when I post that stuff and then I'll get people in the comments, oh my god, I feel this way too, or it's like, oh I think I should get checked out by a psychiatrist. I don't like to promote self-diagnosis, but if you do have symptoms, you definitely keep a track and stuff like that. But
yeah, you always want to check yourself. Yeah, always. It's good. I think we gotta, here we go, I don't want to use the word, but we gotta normal. I hate these little things, because they're real words that have meaning, but they dilute them when they start to use them for the wrong ways. But we really need to normalize self-reflection. I do that all the time. You know, I check myself and go, maybe you was tripping. You know, like you was a little bit too dramatic about that, you know? And I think, and it helps for the moment versus holding it in and hoarding it, like everything's okay, and then we snap.
Yeah. And then also like on top of that, like when it comes to like social media, there's like a lot of young people, especially on the platform of TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, during puberty, depression is, you might feel some anxiety, some depression. It's not normal if you're constantly doing like this. If your mom's yelling at you that you're not keeping your room clean, it could also be something else.
Yeah.
But like, and all that other
Because some of the parents don't know how to handle or respond because they didn't have the help themselves, right? So when we think about things like constantly having a messy room, instead of get your ass in that room and clean up, it's what about, yo, I seen that your room was like been really dirty lately. Is everything okay? You know? And I think sometimes the parents do more damage unknowingly than they already know, right? Because it's like you can just take that second to listen for a second, just listen to me talk. Even if you don't respond, if you don't understand, ask me more questions, make me think of what you're saying to me. So then I start thinking for myself too, because if I had this pattern of trying to come to you, right? And every time I came to you, either brushed me off or didn't understand or had a response that was totally left that told me you wasn't listening. And then when I snap, you say to me, baby, why didn't you talk to me? You could have talked to me. How could I have spoken to you if every time I try to, you push me off in some form of some way, and then God forbid it's too late? I think that parents play a major part in that, and it's not nothing for them to feel bad about. It's something that, again, if we're checking ourselves often, we'll be good. Same thing with me. Like, I'm not a perfect being, you know. There's a lot of things I because I know how like trauma work with children, teenagers, and adults. I've been in that field for a very long time. In my early years, it built a fear that I didn't want to instill no trauma into my kids. I thought I could have them trauma free. That's not possible, you know, because trauma can be them seeing a bird fall out the sky, you know. But I'll catch myself every now and again saying certain things that I'm like, well, why not? Let me go apologize. Because even though, and my things don't be really crazy, honestly, it doesn't. It'd be like little things that I'd be in my head about, like, why'd you say no like that? Like, yeah, you could have, you know, it just, you know. But it's me just checking myself so I can have her know that, yo, I'm listening. I'm here for you. You can tell me anything because I want to be the one you come to, so you don't go to someone else and feel like you don't have no ear to listen to.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say when you were younger, you had no one to talk to during these times?
No. Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like my parents like would try, but like they were like they didn't have the help because like they were born in the 70s, so a bit older gen, and then also ethnic parents, they don't really believe in like mental health and stuff like that. But because a lot of parents also don't realize that like your children like acting out, like they thought I was being a brat. I wasn't being a brat. I was like crying.
Freezing.
There was like much more, and so I was like acting out and like crying, and like what did they do? They shut me down. So then they never believed me, and then like I would say like after like my first attempt, and then I ended up in the hospital. I was 20. Like it was a few days after my 20th birthday, and then I was
in mind sharing why? What got you there?
Oh, I was in a very bad relationship with someone, and so I remember like going to they shipped me out of the ER like to the mental hospital. It was a great time, by the way. Like my besties on that floor.
Lit up.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. It was fantastic in there. Like you meet so many people. Of course, I was in the adult ward, but then like the coolest people there. There was a mom who was like, you know, needed to get better for her kids. There was a lady who ran like a crack house for like 30 years, and her name was, I'm not gonna say her name, but she was fucking fantastic, and I love her. Yeah. But anyway, when my parents saw me in there and they started crying, and they're like, "You can't keep doing this. We need you home."
I'm happy you're here. Let me ask you a question. While you were in the hospital, because you lit up, because it was a happy memory. No, it's serious, and I want to touch bases on that because you lit up because of a happy memory. Was it because you felt home, like you were around your people, people that really understood you and what you were going through, and then realizing that they're not crazy people. One's a mom. One may be a CEO of a company that just need a time off to get some help. So it kind of shifts your world a little bit from the normal world at home to being judged, or I can't speak about certain things because I'm going to deemed as, you better watch out, she's, you know, versus to like, oh, I'm open, I'm going to talk about this. Like, oh yeah, this is how I try to do it. I mean, I didn't mean to, or like, I'm here to get my help, and they're positive. And like you said, you met the lady, had a crack house, and it was like, you know, it was a great time, you know? So do you think, was that part of the reason?
I think that was like a big reason, and like some of them were like, oh, I had substance abuse issues. I dealt with it for like a little period of time,
Yeah.
like with my substance issues.
You as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not no more. Um, and then also because like we weren't allowed to have phones, we couldn't. So like I was upset because I'm like, oh, I can't call nobody. But then I was like, I'm allowed to like focus on myself for the
Indeed.
first time in my life, and I don't have to respond to anybody. I could take a nap if I want to. There's group there. They give us snacks. And like just talking to like people, and then I'm just like, I'm not crazy. Like this person that I was dating at the time made me feel like I was fucking insane.
Was the person manipulative?
Oh yeah, textbook narcissist. I hate when people throw around the term narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's nothing. It's like, listen, just because you don't like the way that the bitch styles her shoes, she's not a narcissist.
Yeah.
No, but this girl was actually like a textbook like narcissist. Like it was horrendous. Yeah.
Okay.
But
and it took you to spiral. She was guessing she was playing with your mind and stuff of that nature. Took your kindness for weakness and did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're better now, so that's good. So what are your coping mechanisms then? Like, what would you give advice to people who are trying to figure this new thing out? Like, this is a new world to them, or they may have been dealing with things after following your TikTok and really seeing like, oh, this is a real person who really goes through this, who on the outside, another thing I don't like about the world. Okay, and we kind of had we touched base a little bit off of air. When I say this, you'll know what I mean. The perception of others will ignore everything internally about a person, right? So they'll look at the outer layer of a person, right? We call it privilege in America, right? And we would swear there's nothing wrong with that person because the way they're carrying themselves, or because they're so beautiful or so handsome. So there's no way nothing can be wrong with them. When in reality, they're probably dying inside. Do you deal with that?
Yes and no, because like my state fluctuates. My state fluctuates. But
for those who don't know what do you mean by that?
Like my mental state like fluctuates, and then, but yeah, like also like with pretty privilege, like people assuming that like you don't
like you're good.
Oh.
Like you're good. She's good.
Yeah. Like I remember there was an EMT like that talked to me once. He was like, you're too pretty to be having these problems. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, we can say whatever we want. Like saying, I can't wait to get you turned up notches. We're getting there. She's a little shy, guys. She's awesome. She's awesome. And this is why I brought her here, because she's a perfect person to have this conversation with, because she's so open about it. And I think that needs to be normalized, because I personally know, like one gift that I've had over my entire life is, for some people, everyone wants to talk to me about things, and I hold so many secrets. And honestly, you know what? And this is why I had this, so I can start talking about more things, not tell people secrets, of course. Talk about more things that no one ever hear me talk about, right? Because we have to walk the certain line in the world to be a certain type of civilian, right?
Yeah.
So when I say that to say, most people talk to me about everything. I mean, everything, to the point in my early years I thought it was cool. I'm like, that's kind of cool. People trust me. That's great. But as I got older, it started to weigh on you, because it's like, well, why are they telling me all of this stuff? You know, it's challenging my emotions at times. It's challenging my secrecy level. Like, I know too much. Like, why do I know this? Like, why does this person tell me this? You know, and I think that plays with the mental as well. You know, especially when you're dealing with your own personal life things, because then you'd be afraid that you can give someone the wrong advice. You know.
And then not everyone wants advice too. Like sometimes they just want you to listen.
That's it.
And it's like, okay, everyone has like different ways that they need to be comforted. What is your way to be comforted? And it's like, okay, to listen.
That's a good question. What is your way?
How
would if you were having an episode with SI, right? What would you want? How would you want someone to respond?
Like validating emotions. Like that's one thing where it's like your feelings are valid. It's valid that you feel that way. Boom. That's really all I need to hear.
That's all you need to hear. It's like, yo, you're not tripping. It's valid, right? And then what will be the next step? Because honestly, you know what? This is actually gold right now. And I think that, because I always, so now my brain is like, you know, woo. All right. So from that part, validation, right? We're gonna validate that your emotions are what you say they are. I'm not going to disagree with them. I'm not going to downplay them. I'm not going to tell you go relax, take a nap. All right. After that step, what should someone do then?
Yeah, that's a hard question. Because like I really feel like it goes on like a case by case basis.
Yeah, depending on the
On the severity, where it's like it's valid that you feel like that. Oh, maybe I'm sorry that happened to you, and then ask like, what are some things that will make you feel better right now? Just because it's so like unpredictable, like especially with people with like ADHD, bipolar, borderline. Each of them, like some people can only see black and white. Some people, like if you're heightened like that, you can't see a gray area. So sometimes like you're not you can't rationalize things in your head in that way if you haven't gone through like the necessary therapy to control those.
Yeah.
So I think basically just like the validating emotions, and then also then asking what are some things that might make you feel better.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need right now? Do you need some space? Do you need this? Always just ask the person, because it could change.
Correct. So now if I ask you, hey, you need some space, and you respond, and I know this is different depending on the person, all right? But I'm just trying to ask some questions, because even though it varies on the person and what the situation is at the time, I never hear anyone talk about ways to help someone, because we only hear the generic answers of everything's going to be okay. Those are not the right answers sometimes, because so in a sense of when I ask, hey, do you need some space, and the person responds yes, in this particular scenario for you, would you want and you say yes, is that a yes, I want you to leave me alone, or is it a no, I want you to ask me some more questions to keep my mind off of things? Take me to get my favorite ice cream. Like, what are some of the ways? Because I think a lot of people deal with SI, right? And the thing is that this world to me is a fucked up place, because we keep on normalizing the wrong things versus making things like that. Like, it's okay to have a thought, just think about the movies when they have those out of body experience, when they're sitting there, he takes the camera and smash it, and we think it happened, it never happened. That's kind of the same thing, it can be avoided. But I think that we pay attention to the people that we love and the people that we're around. We should know something is off. One thing that I'm really good at doing, and that's why like I really hold my circle and my friends to a high standard, because I hold myself and my place to a high standard. When I meet someone, I assess them, and not in a weird way. I assess them. I want to know what makes them happy. I want to know when they get angry. When they get angry, what do I do, and what can I do to help them? But I want to know the answer when they're happy, because how are you going to get an answer from someone that's in a mood? If they're in the mood, they're gonna push you off. But if we had that conversation when you were happy, now I know, oh, Butterpecan ice cream, let's go. Come on, get up out the bed, because now I know if I can be aggressive. Some people you can be aggressive with, some people you have to be really gentle with, right? And if you're truly for the people that you're around, and this is like, it's really personal to me, because I watch a lot of people who do that. Like they'll go, I wish I could have done something. I don't like those words, because you could have done something by just being a natural, loving human being, meaning that if this is a person that you're around and you love this person, whether they've had any type of thoughts, you want to talk to them. Hey, what happened when you get angry? Like, what calms you down? I ask my friends that all the time. They'll go, what? I just want to know. Because we may be somewhere at a bar, you have a bar fight, and I know that if I jingle the iPhone ringtone, it calms you down. And now I had to calm down the Hulk, versus that happens, I don't know how to do anything, and now I'm puzzled, and now I feel so much guilt. So I think it's really important that we speak to our loved ones about these uncomfortable conversations. I think that we should stop stating and posting memes and start actually having these conversations with people, because posting a meme about check on your friends and you didn't even check on any of your like, even if you don't do anything we say, right? And you only post the memes, I challenge you to, every time you post that meme or repost that meme, you then check on 5 of your friends.
Yeah.
Because it serves no purpose if you're just going to just repost it and go check on your friends.
And then not do anything.
And then not do it. It doesn't solve the problem. Okay, so you would say that it just, depends on the situation or whatever. What are some of the things that helped you get out of it?
Getting out of the cycle. For me, like, it's hard, because I know it's also a trauma response where I like shut down, but it's like, if it's something that actually gets me heated, like I have to step back, because either I'm going to start yelling or I'm just gonna start crying. So I'm just like, okay, I can't.
So now that right there can be that trauma response, it has to hurt you, right? Have you ever tried, because I know that crying is okay, so do you not like to cry?
Oh no, I don't mind crying. It's just like I cry all the time. I'm a water sign, but it's awkward if I'm out in public with someone. It's like I am wearing eyelashes right now. I don't want them to cry off, so it's like stuff like that. But Or it's like crying is also very personal. So sometimes I just need to like cry by myself.
Yeah.
Just to just
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to take a breath real quick, 1, 2. But yeah, I also need to like step away because I already know my emotions are hiding right now. If I talk, I'm going to end up saying something I don't like. I'm going to end up like cycling into like a rage episode.
Yeah.
So I do it to protect other people for the most part.
Got you.
From myself. And then I step back out and I'm like, okay.
Now let me ask you a question. If there is to be a time that you can't control it, what are some of the things, for specifically speaking the rage episode, what are some of the things your close ones and your circle that are with you at the time can do to help?
One of my best friends.
She's like, I did that already, but I already know.
One of my best friends knows. I'll be like, hey, I'm having a rage episode right now. And she's like, okay, is there anything around you that you can use to hurt yourself? And it's like, she's like, okay, distance yourself from it. Like, I'm fine. I don't do that no more. And I was like listening to music. She's like, is your cat around? Can you cuddle with your cat?
It's beautiful.
Can you put on your music? You like to listen to the Euphoria soundtrack sometimes. Do you want to listen to your rock music to like scream?
So your best friend definitely did her homework.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. She understands me and her. Like,
yeah. And isn't that important to have that accountability partner when you need it? And I think, and I kind of asked that question because I wanted to segue to the people, like the siblings, the parents. You have to pay attention and then figure out what is your trauma response to their trauma response, right?
Yeah.
Is your trauma response hostile and creating a more hostile environment when someone is not you? I'm saying the opposite. You feel me? Yeah, like, see, this is the thing. We have to be able to counteract in the way that it works for the person, but we will never be able to do that if we never had the uncomfortable conversation. We will never be able to do that. We'll just be puzzled, you know? Which is amazing. So another question, and we'll finish up here. Do you ever feel judged for your mental illness?
Yeah.
Or your diagnosis?
Yeah.
Mind answering why? Like, why do you feel like you're? So then, I'm sorry. This, okay, because my brain is just like everywhere, right?
It's okay.
And I'm not gonna. And this is why I love this show, because we're just here. We're here. We're having a conversation, and we're gonna talk about it, and we're not gonna edit that out. But okay, so then my brain is doing things because if you fear of judgment, but then you express this to masses amount of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, help me out with that.
Like, I feel, okay, so like when I make videos and stuff and I post them to my TikTok, those silly ones, I do it for the people I do it for the people that can relate to it. So if you're judging me off of the video that I make, that's not for you. It's not for you. I'm not making it for you. I'm making it for the people that might not have a voice, that just want part of the community to feel safe space. It's not for you, so you don't have to like it. But me out in the real world, no, damn, wait, this is hard because the internet is like accepting but judgmental at the same time.
Yep.
I don't know, but algorithms work somehow, so it reaches like the right audience. But when it comes out to like in public, like in my dating life or stuff like that, I don't like this. I know it's something that I have to disclose like early on, where it's like I have anxiety, I have ADHD, I have bipolar. It's a mess. I'm fine. Like, I take care of myself and stuff, and like, but then you also look at like movies or like Amber Heard case with Johnny Depp, and like how she has borderline, so everyone's gonna think people with borderline are like insane, crazy, manipulative, and all the other stuff. But it's like just like how I felt in the mental hospital, the behavioral health hospital. They're normal people and they're great.
Everyone has problems.
Yeah, everyone.
Every single one of us. Like, that's the thing that I'm not. Okay, now I'm stuttering because I have problems. I'm a non-judgmental person because we all have our own vices. And I think the best way to be a good human is to just be a good human. I don't see how people can judge people with anything when we all have something we do not like about ourselves, or we want to get better at, or it blows my mind, which is why I'm very to myself. For protection of myself, you know, and I'm very protective of my energy because I don't see, like, if someone displays something that I call a nasty human, like something that I'm like, why are you worried about that person if that person is not you or bothering you? Like, you don't know what that person's going through, which is crazy. So at what point of the relationship do you disclose that? Is it when you first meet them? Is it 3 months in to be like, hey, look, I know you like me now, but I have doom.
Uh,
At what point?
I think it goes on like case by case. But I always disclose that I have the ADHD and anxiety like very upfront, because those are like, I feel like those two things are more normalized than like, but I have type 2, so it's like lowercase version of type 1.
Okay.
I don't want to say less severe, but it's like,
Well, for the audience who don't know, then this is why, like, this is really important that we're talking to someone who can explain this, right? Because then we don't have to hear a doctor tell who would say they don't have it. Because even doctors, like, you understand that mental illness is in everyone, every profession. Some of us just hide it very well. Okay, that is it. It is that's all it is. So if you walk around thinking that you're perfectly fine, if you got a stain in your shirt and you freaked out, that's a mental illness. That was a slight breakdown. You know what I'm saying? No, think about it. Like because we have this little way of like being like, I'm better than this person. Or if I use the word ADHD, that's ridiculous. Or if I use the word bipolar, then they're gonna spat. No. If I use schizophrenic, like, they're still people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's why I want to keep doing these type of things in different ways, because I have so many things I want to talk about, so many things that I do talk about off air, that I'm like, you know what? Even though some people may not like it and understand it, but it's going to help someone. And now that's my purpose, to continue to do that. I already do that off the air. And I think that a lot of things should be done off air, you know, but I also think that it helps for people. Like, that's why, again, going back to admiring your TikTok, is because that's a vulnerable state. To tell someone your inner thoughts, like, I have a lot of things wrong with me that no one knows about, because I'm not to your level just yet, you know? And I think, no, seriously, like, I think that, and this is why I know people are so strong, because it's like, you can act like you're the king of a castle, but if you don't have certain elements in your life to become vulnerable at a need basis, to not only help others, but in this, whether you know or not, you're helping yourself. Because when I look at video and any type of dialogue is a visual diary, right? So as we grow as humans, I'm a firm believer that we're constantly treating ourselves. When we have a bad day, how we get happy again is treating. That's a treatment we're doing, right? So when it comes to mental illness, and we're figuring out coping mechanisms, and we're thinking about ways to whatever type of plans we're going to come up with. If we have to lower our meds, up our meds, whatever the case we have to do, we're treating ourselves. But so now you have the new technology, the new world, where you have a visual diary that you can share with the world with no regard, because you know these people, and it reaches people, and it gets people upset, but it also helps you. That helps your trauma response. You know, it helps your trauma response. It helps you more than you know. And then you have people who you're helping, like, oh my God, I feel the same way. So now you're like, I don't feel alone. Okay. Now you have this whole community of people, and then you can look back on it as you continue to get better, and you can go, where was I there? Wow, I remember that day, and look at where I'm at now. So again, I know that I asked that question 2 times, but I think that it does work both ways, in a sense, based off of what I watch from the viewpoint of the audience, you know, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lastly, what advice would you give? It's going to be a 3-parter, okay? Because I want to have you back too, because I know we can go deeper. I really do know we can go deeper. But what advice would you have for an 8-year-old who is struggling with everything? We're going to just say mental illness, because it's a lot. It's a ricochet, right? A 14-year-old and a 19-year-old. So you can,
8-year-old. Oh, wait. For an 8-year-old, because it's so hard for kids to like find the like words to articulate their feelings. Like, instead of saying I'm sad, they might just be my stomach hurts or stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, for an 8-year-old, like, so if they're just like struggling, like, in general.
Yeah, if it helps, 8-year-old you.
Oh, 8-year-old me.
Yeah, let's do that. 8-year-old you, 14-year-old you, 19-year-old you. Well, in a sense, I'm sorry. 8-year-old you, 14-year-old you, 20-year-old you, because that was your last episode.
Okay. 8-year-old. 8-year-old, you're not gonna know. You're not going to be able to comprehend everything that's going on around you, but you will later on, and then at some point after you reach your 20s. It'll get better.
Tell her. She's right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Should I repeat that?
No, we already heard it. We don't edit here. This is how authentic we are, right? Now we can go to 14 because another thing too with the perfection of how things are ran and like how we see things and we got to make it so perfect. Like we're missing out on the realness of it. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, if it's something that's major that needs to be cut out, then yeah, we cut it out. But I don't like that. Like, there's so many things that I dislike of how the world is ran. It's so many things, right? So when we think about like, oh my gosh, should I read that? No, you don't have to. You told her. You told her. Now tell 14-year-old and then tell 20-year-old you.
Okay.
Yeah, how to deal with it because these are, those are just levels,
That's true. So 14-year-old, you're finally gonna get some damn answers about why you can't sit still in class. That's ADHD and anxiety. Also, what else? You're gonna get your first boyfriend. Bitch, you're gay, first of all. Second of all, he's a mess and he's gonna mess you up for the rest of your life. However, this bad relationship, it's also gonna teach you a lot of good things. Like, no, I can't even say good. It's gonna help you realize a lot of things that's going to help you grow later on. And then you said 8.
And then 20, you can tell her.
20. Wait, the camera facing this way?
Yeah, you can tell her right there.
Oh, this one right here?
Yeah, that one.
Straight ahead.
Yeah, she's 20. She's grown now.
Oh, okay.
She's been dealing with a lot, and she just had an episode.
Okay. 20. You're going to go to the mental hospital for the first time. However, it's going to be one of the best experiences of your life, and it's going to make you fall in love with life again, and it's also going to give you the strength to leave the relationship for like a few months after. What else? You're also gonna get a tattoo in a few months, and that's gonna be really cool, and that's gonna be the start of your body modification journey. And you're also going to meet a lot of fantastic people that are not gonna stay in your life for a long time after. However, they were what you needed in that moment in time, and you're glad that you had them because they also helped you through a dark time. And try not to live in the past too much because you're gonna be fine, and there's better shit in the future.
Wow.
That.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're done. No exit needed. We're just gonna get up and walk away. Dramatic. What are we gonna do?